stressed out. They also have guttural sounds to communicate and even howl in the forest like these howler monkeys. And monkeys use tools like rocks to break open hard-shelled fruits and nuts like cashews. They also strip the leaves off branches and use the sticks then to prod insects. So what they do is they would go like this, and then if they want an insect under a rock, they would go to the rock and fish them out this way to go get them, like little lizards maybe, or insects that go under rocks, and then flush them out that way. That's an interesting use of a tool. We shall see how they use tools later on also. Oops. And some even exploit squirrels because these squirrel rodents can smell and then identify very large fruits and trees that are ripe to eat, and then let other watchful monkeys spying on these squirrels know that these fruits are the ones to knock down and eat. Monkeys pluck human hair from tourists in large Southeast Asian cities and use it as dental floss. They even barter for stolen food. If you go to some large Asian cities, they're right there in the city, and they'll steal things from you and even trade for something that they took from us. There are different kinds of monkeys, like the bearbit, the proboscis monkey, not a very handsome monkey. They live in troops. The monkeys do because they're very social and happy together. And there's a lot of hair on it because they live in mountainous regions and need to be protected. Southern Plains langur. And we'll be focusing on the spider monkey, which is from South America here with the prehensile tail, which they use. Monkeys are kept as pets in zoos with private collectors, used as lab workers to experiment on, and can be trained such as service animals to help quadriplegics get items. Monkeys in labs are used to develop and test the safety and effectiveness of human potential medicines, vaccines, potions, lotions, skincare products, and countless other practical applications. But they are not pets and shouldn't be do so. And they are used in these experiments. 100 to 200,000 monkeys, like the grivet, rhesus, and macaque, are used for conducting experiments on worldwide. In the U.S. alone, 63,000 research monkeys employed as of 2017. Now this woman, Dr. Lauren Brent, is an evolutionary biologist and primatologist. She has spent years studying the social bonds, interactions, and in particular friendships among monkeys. She analyzes stress hormone levels in monkeys in the wild chemically through their feces. She noticed how stress affects friendship bonds in monkeys, and how they bond is that they groom, and this is relaxing to them, and they get closer to bonding with each other. We also groom, by the way. Every one of us here has been to a hairdresser or has a barber, and spouses always pick on each other for these kind of little things. It's true. While conversely, apes are larger, weigh more, and have broader chests and are more intelligent. So the difference between a monkey and an ape is a monkey will have a tail, and sometimes a prehensile tail, and will have opposable digits on the feet and a smaller brain-body ratio. Where apes don't have a tail, have a bigger brain-to-body ratio, and have opposable digits on their hands and feet for climbing. So a monkey would be like the spider monkey or a chimp, and we're going to focus on chimps now. Chimps are not, so the great apes in the primate family include humans or the hominids, chimpanzees, gorillas, and orangutans. So we have Old World monkeys, New World monkeys, the lesser apes like the gibbons and bonobos, and great apes, which were in that, by the way, the orangutan, the gorilla, the chimp, and us, and here are the skeletal forms. Actually, great apes for the most part live in Africa, and the orangutans in Indonesia, like Borneo and Sumatra. Chimps are not monkeys, but are in the great ape family. Both humans and chimps evolved from a common ancestor, but separated 5 to 7 million years ago. Humans over time, or 3 million years ago, started to walk upright, that is bipedally. While our bodies, arms and legs, teeth, hips, skin color, loss of body hair, and expanded frontal cortex, where your forehead is, developed and evolved over tens of thousands of generations to become us. And again, mainly chimps live in western equatorial Africa, like right here. And they also live in rainforests and wooded savannas. They sleep in trees, in sturdy nests they make from tree branches. The nests are between 10 and 15 feet high off the ground, away from predators, and take a few minutes to construct. And again, chimps mainly live in western equatorial Africa, a little bit north of that. And the differences between us and them, morphology is, our brain holds about 1,300 cubic centimeters, about 3 pounds or 48 ounces, while their brain is less than 400 cubic centimeters, 13 ounces, smaller than a pound. They have a pronounced brow ridge right here, and that acts as a buttress to eat a lot of plants for their, around their jaw. We don't have that on our forehead at all. And their canines are larger than ours, and our canine teeth are smaller. And when males and females have the same size canines teeth, they usually get along better. There's a reason for that, and that's evolutionary. The arms of chimps are longer. Actually, the humerus that runs between the shoulder to the elbow is the same size as the femur that runs between the hip and the knee. So they have a 10-to-10 ratio, same. But ours is different. Ours is, our humerus is 30% shorter than our femur. So we have a 7-to-10 ratio. Now there's an application that you can use on your smartphone to find your own personal arm and leg length. And it's called, there's an ape for that. Oh, okay. And we have an S-shaped spine, they have a bow-shaped spine. Their pelvis is long and narrow, making it easier to deliver babies, where ours is more broad and bowl-shaped. And they have opposable digits on their toes, and we don't. So again, this is the brain size, less than a pound, 3 pounds. And because we have more folds and more development in our brain, it leads to things like better expanded frontal cortex developed over tens of thousands of years ago. And it has more surface area with more folds, which enables abstract and logical thought. Our brain is big compared to our body size. This ratio concerns the encephalization quotient, that is the brain to body ratio. Our ratio is 7.5, a chimp is 2.5, and these are what the neurons are from a macaque monkey, 1.7 billion neurons, gorilla 9 billion neurons, a human over 16, and it's because of the way the brain is that makes us do these things. More folds compared to a chimp, but some areas in common. So they can communicate with hoots, grunts, pants, and express surprise and plead for things to be comforting to each other. They use medicinal plants in the wild when needed. And bearing their canines, or incisors here, through smiling is showing aggressiveness, but just the opposite in us. So never smile at a chimp, as it escalates tensions. When they smile, they're showing their canines, and that means they are getting ready to fight. We have larger tongues, more lip muscles, and a pointy chin, and can manipulate our voices with our voice box. But chimps lack these traits and can't physically talk. Now, chimps and humans are omnivores, but we need to eat meat at least twice a week to get vitamin B12 in our system. We eat segmented specific meals, but chimps, for instance, they eat in small amounts all day long. They also eat a lot of fruit, which we do not. So they do eat meat once in a while. And here's one enterprising guy using DoorDash to get his meal. Now, we share many attributes with chimps. They have opposable big toes and strong hands and feet for tree climbing, and have the same nervous system we have. The nuts, seeds, insects, and have 32 teeth like ours. They have just type A or type O blood, while we have types A, B, O, and AB. They can't swim because they are too heavy for their size and are 7 times stronger than us because they have longer skeletal muscle fibers than us. Remember, their arm is longer than them, so they have longer muscles that makes them stronger, and they are quite strong. They can live to be 50 years old, and they get old like us and have diminished skills and arthritis and bodily problems and even gray hair when they get older. However, they have no recreational sex, and their mating just takes 10 and 15 seconds, and therefore multitasking, doing it while they eat or doing other activities. They have no long-term partners and show no jealousy or competition regarding sexual partners. They live in troops anywhere from 30 to 150, and with an alpha male in charge. An alpha female also controls female chimps. So they're matriarchal or patriarchal depending on the troop. Both humans and chimps can see in color. This evolutionary trait helps them finding ripe fruit and certain edible plants to eat, which is an advantage. We have binocular vision for depth perception. Chimps have no white around their irises, which then helps hide their body language. Our eyes tell everything about what we do. And they use tools such as hammers and anvils on hard surfaces to pound and break things, and mash leaves into a pulp to make sponges. For the first 5 years of their life, they have a strong bond with their mother, and they rarely share food, but share tools and can express joy, sadness, and empathy. So not only do they use these kind of sticks for maybe going in to find insects like termites and ants, which eat a lot of them, they have a lot of protein in them, but they also cooperate and use tools like this and share that and lick the ants right off the stick. This was not known 100 years ago. No one ever did think they did that in the Western world. Here they are again, using sticks to get termites, and again, tool application. Excuse me. They have a sense of morality and doing good things for their community, like helping with protection from attacks, and can help a fellow chimp from drowning. They laugh at funny things or when tickled, which is called play panting, and play simple games with each other. If a baby chimp is harmed or killed, they react with indignation and rage just like we would. They share and will try to make equal offers for trade in their peers. They remember number sequences and have metacognition, that is, reflection of their own thoughts. Now, when a chimp sees another chimp who is upset, say from an injury, they mimic the stress as a way of showing empathy. If a chimp has a limp, then they'll have a limp for a little bit to show that they care. Solace at times is given to the chimp with injury, like stroking or to show support. Female chimps do this more often than male ones, but the alpha males in a troop do this much more than females. So troop leaders give solace as a way of keeping peace, promoting harmony, and saving the troop's energy. Chimps are for the most part good-natured, just like us, but can be aggressive enough to kill other chimps. And the canines are out, so that means it's time to play. Tough. While human aggressiveness is premeditated and planned out, chimps sometimes go on hunting raids rising from territorial disputes, and they can viciously kill other local tribes, babies, and adult males. This often is done as a reaction or retribution to some provocative situation, like an attack, and comes from a fluid, responsive emotional state. The more males there are in a group, the higher the incidence of violence plus aggressiveness. They cooperate in combat and can gang up to be hostile with others. Sometimes they use sticks to club other warring chimps to death. That is, they use a tool to do that, to take them out. And they practice cannibalism and infanticide. They kill the other troops' babies. This behavior leads to the attacking group getting a better competitive advantage towards access to females and obtaining better food. Once the males are taken out of the group, the attackers can replace them, which thereby increase the availability of food and sexual partners. This increases their odds of spreading their DNA around. Now, this is Dr. Jill Peretz, who's a primatologist. She was first to find sharpened sticks, that is, in the wild, about chimps actually going hunting with sharpened sticks to get animals, for instance. So these people are out there studying. These are the sticks that she found here, like here, here, and one other controversial theory says that human interaction leads to chimps becoming hostile, and destruction of habitats contributes to chimp stress. Even humans provisioning them food can lead to an unbalanced state of mind, causing stress and anxiety, leading to violence. So never have a chimp as a pet, because if you do, then your face, they could turn on you and you can get your lips ripped off. This lady had disfigured because of this, a prominent case. A San Francisco lawyer this happened to, man had his nose cut off. So because they're so strong and are unpredictable, that means they don't make good pets. Humans are also predisposed to violence, and many believe we get this trait through chimps. Every day, thousands of people worldwide are murdered by war and conflict. This includes territorial disputes, heated nationalism, moral, emotional, religious, and ethnic disputes, and reflects long-held inabilities to get along with each other. Every year, 1,500,000 people are murdered, or about one person a minute. Trillions of dollars are spent defending our country, defending countries, and weaponizing armies. There are over 100 million handguns in this country alone. Over 100,000 people are shot every year in the United States, about 300 a day, resulting in 37,000 yearly deaths plus suicides. So we get this murderous idea, it's from our simian ancestors, in my opinion. Murder is often said and implied in our language, like I'll kill the next person who, or wait till I get my hands on him. Plus, if you watch TV and see a lot of movies or play video games, murder is the #1 theme that predominates. In one night alone, you can watch dozens of people talking about, attempting, planning, committing murder, or solving homicide cases. Multiply this by passively watching this over the turn of your life, and you will see 100,000 people being not simultaneously, but simulation style, killed in an average single lifetime. In studies, chimps are 5 times more likely to cooperate than compete. They chip in on large projects with their troop, and they can show warmth or love for people that they are friends with, but can harm and kill friends if they lose emotional control. They feel sad when another chimp they know dies, and will keep a vigil over the dead body and even shoo flies away from the corpse. A mother might even carry around a dead infant, refusing to let go emotionally and physically. They take care of orphan infants and tease handicapped individuals. Chimps make friendships with other chimps that have shared personality traits. The shy ones seek shy, and the social ones seek social-oriented ones, just like us. Now, to make this more personable, Jane Goodall, now 86, is a well-known international animal rights advocate, scientist, and author. She went to Tanzania in 1960 to study chimps, taking up Richard and Mary Leakey's advice and invitation to do so. During the early 1960s, Jane Goodall observed chimps firsthand and up very close at the Gombe Stream National Park in Tanzania. And where is that? That's on the western edge of Tanzania. So she was a pioneer because the first year she got within 30 feet of them. After 2 years, she was right next to them. After this, she was fully accepted in their troop. She became friends with most of these chimps who let her in to their own special world. She was first to document chimps eating meat, using tools, detailing their organized social systems, and a wide range of human-like emotions they displayed. She single-handedly redefined the long-held differences between humans and other primates. She patiently established a non-threatening and natural way of observing them by living with them. She gained their trust, ate their foods, climbed their trees with them. She observed them making 20 individual sounds as a private language. Such aforementioned behavior was only thought to exist exclusively for humans. In her first book in 1971, she revealed an animal world of social and family drama, comedy and tragedy with a complex, rich, intricate social system. She's my hero because she went out there and she took a risk and did something to learn about this by being very hands-on. Now, the Jane Goodall Institute was founded in 1977 as a nonprofit center to study chimps. It has offices in 25 different countries and has preserved 1,500 acres for protected chimp habitats in Tanzania. It has helped over 5,000 chimps worldwide and has created many worldwide projects. In today's world, Dr. Linda Brent, I think that's the sister of the other Brent lady that I showed you, is a behavioral primatologist who founded Chimp Haven, or Sanctuary, a rehabilitation place for chimps who were once pets or lab animals. She did her research at the Gombe Stream National Park in Tanzania, just like Jane Goodall. Chimp Haven is a sanctuary near Shreveport, Louisiana. Now, one chimp in the mid-1980s named Washoe was raised at the Central Washington University in Ellensburg, Washington, and was taught ASL, or American Sign Language. Washoe was originally born in Africa and lived with the Garners. The Garners raised Washoe from age 2, just like a human child. She learned 130 to 150 signs in 6 years. Sign meaning they don't spell all the words, but it's associated. Like, for instance, leaves might be some kind of gesture. So one gesture to one idea. And she lived in her own full-size trailer to live in, which is complete with bed, couch, refrigerator, and drawers. She was given regular chores to do, wore clothes like pants, shirts, and a diaper, and sat at the dinner table with her adoptive parents and rode in their car. She enjoyed playing pretend with her dolls, which she would bathe, sign to, and act out imaginary scenarios, just like a small child would. When one of Washoe's caretakers was away for an extended time and came back, she gave the cold shoulder to the caretaker. However, when the caretaker signed to Washoe that her baby had died due to a miscarriage, Washoe cried to her as she traced a pretend teardrop from her eyes. That's a sign of crying. Washoe's additional sign, which included peekaboo for hide and seek, time eat for a meal, you and me go for outside, and you and me go for outside. She labeled a swan a water bird and could ID herself in a mirror, and slowed her signing down even when human newcomers came to meet her. She proved that chimps are super intelligent and have a wide range of emotions that we can relate to. A new study finds that 12 to 24-month-old children, really almost toddlers, use 46 of the same movements chimps use to communicate and include stomping, hugging, raising their arms, shaking their heads, pointing, and clapping. Toddlers use 52 such gestures, which is a 90% overlap. And many primatologists believe that young children act just like tiny apes. Since chimps and humans share a common ancestor 5 or 6 million years ago, maybe this gesture-like communication has a primal evolutionary basis. And you can see what they want them to do with each other. You can see this right here and here. It's clearly obvious. Now, Nim Chimpsky was raised in New York townhouse by a family who knew sign language and by volunteers in the 70s and after. Nim learned the word drink at 4 months old, and after 3.5 years learned 150 other signs like hug cat to play with cat. But there's academic skepticism with Nim Chimpsky and other chimps who have learned to sign. Some claimed it was to obtain a reward, as Nim imitated his teachers, thereby getting food or emotional rewards, and therefore was not really understanding the meaning of the words at all, really a quid pro quo. That means I do something and I get rewarded for it. In today's time, Dr. Kate Hobater, a 39-year-old primatologist, has studied chimps for 13 years in the Benango forest in Uganda. So she went to Uganda to study them. That's what they're doing right now, is going in the wild to study them, not studying them in zoos or phony places like that or in labs. She's went to School of Psychology and Neuroscience at St. Andrews in the UK. By studying chimps and filming them in slow motion, she found a secret gesture-type language that they use based on 80 distinctive, quickly made gestures. For instance, in chimp language, come here means raising an arm. A quick scratch is a sign for let's go. Rolling over means let's play. And a touch or a kiss means let's be friends. A foot up means a piggyback ride. So when they want to ride with each other, they just go like this. So they obviously can't talk, but they can sign to other chimps. And a handshake means let's make up. Leaf clipping or tearing off leaves from a branch in rapid order is flirting to get the female's attention. That means if there's a female out there and a male's interested, and then he will do this. He will do this. And make this kind of sound, which the females will respond to. At least that's what he wants. So I just thought I'd show that to you. Had to rob my backyard. And so that's the kind of sounds that it would do. And I'd rather show it to you more often than tell it to you. It's more effective that way. And an arm raise with a scratch means let's travel. So they do these kind of gestures. Young children use pointing gestures more than chimps. However, both combine gestures to ask for different things. Now, brain-wise, we still employ some evolutionary holdouts from chimps with our language and thinking. Chimps feel less secure at night as they sleep then, have limited vision, and are vulnerable. Therefore, in the chimp world, dark is a time when predators come out and not as safe as daytime. We are also less secure at night and consider anything dark to be mysterious, not good, and even evil. For instance, our mental picture of demons and devils are always black. The bad guy always wears dark outfits. Dark is always associated with deceit and evil. To prove my point, just imagine an outlaw motorcycle gang wearing all white clothes. Well, that doesn't work. How about an evil witch wearing white? That's not going to be bought either. Disparaging thoughts and words usually come up when dark is mentioned. So our language is full of it, like a dark and mysterious stranger. He's in a dark mood. The words denigrate, black magic, dark thoughts, dark web, black market, black ops, blackout also come to mind. However, anything light-colored is always positive and is for chimps. In the daylight, chimps can plan activities and see most dangers. Same for us. So phrases like illuminate me, show me the light, and you light up my life have positive vibes. The bride always wears white to a wedding, unless she's a goth, but people wear dark clothes to a funeral. Most people own white cars, white houses, and prefer white pets. White and light is associated with goodness, virtue, and purity, like angels and spirits in all cultures around the world. Same idea with the mental thought of up and down. In the chimp world, up is positive as it is a dominant position and is considered safe and less vulnerable. That's why they sleep in trees. Up is also positive for us humans as our language bears the truth. Phrases like, I'm up for that, I'm in an upbeat mood reflect this. Even the corners of our mouth turn up to smile. Everybody wants their stock portfolios and house to have a higher home value. Up. Who can be unhappy when you are up? Even heaven is considered up. So about these cheerleaders here, what would happen if cheerleaders went like this? Rah, rah, rah. That doesn't make any sense. I always want to go up. Correct? Unless they're part of a bad team. Okay. The opposite is true for down. In the chimp world, down is submissive and connotates vulnerability. When they are down, that means that they are vulnerable. So when you see chimps like this, any animal like a cheetah, a leopard, a lion could attack them. That's why they're in groups, number one, but they're much safer in trees. So they're not the happiest traveling across savannas like this. So there's also, it kind of connotates being submissive in the chimp world and vulnerability. It's negative, and for us, down is also negative. Like, don't bring me down, what a downer, why you low down so-and-so, or don't talk down to me, and even hell is considered down. Some other traits we inherit from chimps are to be afraid of strangers, as they upset the social balance of groups. And one of my theories is about strangers is that, like for instance about UFOs or something like that, and aliens, well, they're strangers, so we're naturally afraid of strangers. That's called xenophobia, which is what the conspiracy theories have a problem with. We get stranger danger from this, and we are very territorial like chimps, as many wars and global conflicts are based on claiming rights over land. We are afraid of snakes, and so are they. If I let a snake in this room, all pandemonium would turn loose. We comfort each other, and we live in social groups, and your neighborhood and the villages reflect this. Now, turning the page here, the AIDS epidemic, or acquired immune deficiency syndrome, started in full in 1981. This is a rampant disease that has killed 35 million people worldwide so far. Currently, 32 million people are living with AIDS, but you never hear about it in the paper, do you? Well, what happened to that? So, well, that was long ago. That was back in the other generation. Not to worry about that. Not in sub-Saharan Africa. But it's an epidemic down there. Not just COVID, it's AIDS, and it's from sexual contact with people right now. In 2019, 1.7 million people contracted this disease, and over 600,000 died from it around the world. AIDS likely surfaced when humans came in direct contact with chimps, like a bite from their blood, but with no sexual contact. We still don't know much about how chimps acquired this devastating disease, but sadly and evolutionary speaking, it's nature's way of controlling populations. And we'll move on to gorillas here. They have 98.6 the same percentage, the same DNA as us, and they are the largest of all primates and can weigh up to 450 pounds. They are between 4 and 6 feet tall. And with their skeletal frame, you can see they have the long, their humerus is the same size as their femur. They have a opposable on their big toes, and they have more of a bow shape, and they have very large shoulder blades that can have very large muscles here, and a smaller head than we do, and are generally, and are of course smaller than us with longer hands. Mountain gorillas live in troops of up to 50 individuals, but usually 20 to 30, with one silverback shown here, or older gorilla, and a few males. Silverbacks are alpha males in charge of the troop and dictate their daily tracks and activities, plus decide where the troop eats and sleeps. They are polygamous and mate freely with available females. When silverbacks are excited, they emit a strong body odor to let others know their location. Younger males sometimes do challenge a silverback, and this usually leads to loud chest thumping or screaming to see who backs down. They don't fight as much as they just have a lot of bravado. Their hands are the same as ours. They have fingerprints and, excuse me a second here, and opposable thumbs. They make sounds like laughter, chuckle, and scream, clap their hands to get their kids' attention. The great apes use 80 gestures in their complex communication system. And they mainly live, these apes, in mid-Africa and here. We'll get into them right now. A female's growth is slow. Females are sexually mature at 7 to 8 years, and a male between 9 to 11 years. They have one offspring every 4 years. They are usually calm and peaceful, live in secluded, dense forests, and rarely show aggressive behavior unless confronted. They sleep on the ground and not in trees. And there are 4 species of gorillas: cross-river gorillas, mountain gorillas, western lowland, and eastern. Western lowland here, mid-Africa, mountain gorillas here, as well as eastern ones here, right around the equator area here. And they live in the Congo Basin like Cameroon, Nigeria, and Uganda. They are affectionate, loving parents and eat 40 pounds of vegetation a day. That's quite a lot, but they need to because they have more of a vegetarian diet. There's a cross-river gorilla, for instance. Mountain gorilla family, dad, mom, baby. Mountain gorillas here. And they have a lot of hair on them because they live higher up in elevation. And again, lowland gorillas live in the western part of Central Africa, as well as mountain gorillas here. These are their numbers here, like this. And gorillas are in zoos. Many of us have seen them in zoos. And sometimes now and then, every once in a few years, a child will fall into the protective area the gorillas are in, like in the moat area. But the gorilla will not harm the child and will pick that child up and bring it to where the caretakers are. So they're really not harmful to be with. You have to be careful being around them. With 25-inch arms, it's pretty hard to negotiate that. So here they are again. I wanted to show you what they look like in the wild also. Now there's one famous gorilla, and the world's most famous gorilla is Coco. It was a female, and Coco was taught American Sign Language starting at age 1 by Penny Patterson, shown here, starting in the early 70s. This was done at a Gorilla Foundation preserve in Woodside, California. Penny used a combination of words and signs. Over the years, Coco would learn and use 1,000 signs and would understand 2,000 words, spoken words. So she would learn these signs, actually a few hundred of them every year, and it would diminish over the years in the 70s. But she would have different signs, like this would be for love. And here's Penny teaching her right there using this kind of sign language. This takes a lot of one-on-one. Over the years, Coco would learn 1,000 signs, understand 2,000 spoken words, had an IQ of between 70 to 90, and had a 3-year-old child's mentality. She knew concepts like good and fake, and was able to sign emotional responses to events, like sad, mad, glad. The first time she saw a ring, she signed it as a finger bracelet. And here are some of her signs that she would use, like love, fingers across the chest. Shame, like this. Sad, to the eyes. And hurry. And this would be Penny's name. And then had all these different, like good, fruit, lower, eat, candy, cat. So she'd have all these signs. Imagine being around an ape like that. What you could learn and how much fun you'd have. Now, Penny let Coco choose a kitten of her own from a litter of abandoned kittens. She signed her kitten to be named All Ball and cared for it like it was her baby. She even tried to nurse All Ball. Actually, Penny taught her how to take care of a baby using dolls, since Coco had no real-life experience with other gorillas to learn from. Now, this book, Coco's Kittens, I read with my children. It was just wonderful. Here she is right here. Very gentle creature, but you have to, raising it from almost an infant, you can do that in some cases, especially with a female. Now, later, when signed, All Ball was killed after being hit by a car. She signed bad, sad, crown, cry, and troubles. Much later, she got a few new cats. She signed their names to be Smokey, Lipstick, Miss Black, Miss Gray. Coco was proof that gorillas can be taught to communicate through sign language, and that gorillas are caring, sensitive, intelligent creatures just like us. And she would understand the concept of death, and would have these other signs here about tickle, visit, sorry, and her name. So these are some of the things that she did. This was very famous reading about this when I was going to school in the 70s, for instance, in the 80s. You can also sign like Coco, you can paint like her, you can read about her, contribute to wildlife organizations, and wear her shirt. A male gorilla named Michael was taught 600 ASL signs by Penny and lived with Coco for a while. Now there's another experiment that was done with Kanzi, a male bonobo, really in the lesser ape families of primates, who at 8 years old in the late 1980s was trained to use a portable keyboard with lexicograms on it with arbitrary symbols that he associated with words to communicate, like here and here. And this is Kanzi looking at a screen, a portable one here, and one that you could touch here that would say the word. And this is Professor Susan Savage-Rumba worked with Kanzi, and Panashiba, a female who was Kanzi's half-sister, and there were two bonobo pygmy chimps, which both learned lexicograms. Kanzi actually learned 360 of them, working with them for years. Kanzi lived in a bicultural environment and picked up sign language accompanied by her mother, Matata. These symbols represented words, objects, and familiar people. Kanzi could point to a symbol of a lexigram and directly imply a word, actually hundreds of them. This type of communication is called Yerkish, named after the Yerkes National Primate Research Center with Emory University in Atlanta, which is a language comprised of visual, two-dimensional geometric shapes representing words. Kanzi had a 2-year-old mentality and was tested with a 2-year-old human child. But humans have greater ability to analyze and contextualize linguistic language. Now, he would use this kind of situation, hundreds of them. So these are the kind of shapes. This would be hard even for us to be able to do which symbol represented what word. Just go to a government form and be able to figure that. Actually, Panashiba, which is Kanzi's half-sister, answered correctly to 94% of the lexigram symbols in spoken words. She would push the TV symbol to watch TV. By age 3, she understood 80 spoken words, and she would have total given 1,400 on a test, and she would get 1,200 right of these kind of symbols. Why, I couldn't even get a couple dozen of them right. So we'd have trouble getting that many correct. That's pretty smart. These two bonobos could both communicate with people with Yerkish and some sign language. So this is another chimp that remembered some numbers and are randomly displayed where the position of the numbers were, though they don't know what the numbers mean. Now this is Diane Fossey. She's another maverick wildlife behavioralist and studied mountain gorillas in Rwanda in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. She studied them in their mountain habitats and tried to raise global awareness from poaching and loss of habitat. She was murdered with a machete in 1985 by local poachers and inspired the film Gorillas in the Midst. Here she is working with her, another woman who lived directly with them to find out what they are. But this takes an awful lot of trust to be this close to them. And here she is again. She has a gorilla fund. Wildlife Fund, here's her grave right here. So in today's world, Innocent Mababare, who is the deputy director for the Virunga National Park in DR Congo, right there, he's a ranger caretaker for gorillas. He has found and nurtured orphaned gorillas who now imitate humans by walking on 2 legs. So they stand up because they were raised by people who stand up also. This area has seen a lot of conflict between government and various armed rebel militias. Since 1996, 130 rangers have been murdered by rebels, including Innocent's brother. Caring for and protecting these endangered species can be dangerous. Now, gorilla poaching is still going on in the Congo area. Gorilla meat is expensive and known as bushmeat. Militia groups in the Congo and Uganda kill them for their meat and eat them on the spot. Gorillas are captured by zoos, rich private collectors, private zoos, and researchers. Gorilla body parts are sold as souvenirs. Their hands are used as ashtrays, heads and legs are used as magic charms and witchcraft, and used as folklore tales with medicinal cures and even trophies. In China, they still obtain these things in China. Remember, China was just backwards, just maybe a generation or two back. They were just all farmers living on land. So they have a lot of these old ideas, even now they've caught up with times. In the 1980s in the Virunga National Park, there were 250 mountain gorillas left. Now, thanks to tourists who help pay for ecotourism with permits, like here, there are 880 left. And there's a couple hundred river gorillas left as of 2019. So you can observe these mountain gorillas yourself in Uganda with trekking permits for $600 in Uganda here. and $400 in the Congo, and $1,500 in Rwanda. Means you could be an eco-tourist, get permits, and go see them in the wild where they live. So you can observe them. This is them. You can observe them and be right involved with them if you want to. Of course, they're used to people nowadays, but you have to be very passive when you're with something this size. So you don't want to stare. You want to keep your head down, pretend to eat a leaf, and look at them when they're not looking at you. And lastly, orangutans live on 2 islands in Borneo and Sumatra. Sumatra here in Malaysia. And they are the Asia's greatest ape and have orange mat-like hair. They have orange mat-like hair. They are the largest tree-dwelling animals on Earth, and it takes 13 to 14 years for their mother then to leave the child, which prepares them to be solitary creatures. So they have very long childhoods and stay with mom for this many years, and they have a very, very close relationship. So when they're older, they spend 90% of their time alone, way above in trees. They are gentle creatures and are 4 to 5 feet tall and weigh 160 pounds. Their arms can stretch 7 feet across, and they walk upright on tree branches, but on all fours on the ground. They age like us. They get arthritis, cardiovascular disease, gray hair, tooth decay, and muscle loss. They have a hairline like us and share 28 physical traits like us. They use leaves as napkins to clean their chins after eating, and use leaves as gloves to handle prickly spines and fruits. So if something's real prickly, they'll take a large leaf and then fold it over the fruit that's prickly and deal with it from there. So they do know how to use tools on a minimal level. 100 years ago, there were 230,000 orangutans. Now there are just 41 left on Borneo, and 7,500 left on Sumatra. Since 1990, there's been a 97% loss of habitat on these 2 Indonesian islands. So let me show you. Looks like a walking rug, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is what, when we were growing up, this is what Borneo used to look like. All forested, one of the world's largest islands, and now it's completely gone with a lot of deforestation. This takes away their habitat and decreases rain in the area. And instead what they do is they plant palm oil plantations for a cheap form of cooking oil. Every year, 1,000 of them are smuggled out of Indonesia to be sold to zoos or private collectors. Palm oil plantations, logging, forest fires are both man-made and natural ones, and poaching have driven numbers down on both Sumatran and Bornean species. Since 2001, Indonesia has lost 35,000 square miles of primary forest, or 1,000 football fields were cleared every day to take away this precious habitat. So over the years, this has gone up. They're trying to stop this, particularly in Scotland just a week ago, with the climate change nations that met all together, trying to make some way to stop this from going on, because we're just going to lose the forest in a matter of a generation or two. And Sidney Proshev is a primatologist who founded Four Paws in Indonesia, which is a rescue organization for orangutans, and has built and maintained 247-acre school on Borneo to help the species out for orphaned orangutans. She has rescued dozens of babies who later were released into the wild. So the numbers are down, as I've been talking about, through habitat loss, logging, mining for minerals, and turning them into banana plantations, coffee plantations, or cocoa for chocolate. It's very lucrative, so they take away the trees. So there used to be 500,000 chimps, that's down. 250,000 orangutans, that's way down. Gorillas, worse. And this many bonobos, which are lesser chimps, lesser apes. So the monkey population was 1 million to 2 million as of 1900, and now there's a few 100,000 left. There's about, proboscis monkeys, there's about 2,000 left, and Yucatan spider monkeys, which everybody wants as a pet, there's about 2,000 left. So great apes are helping scientists build a clearer picture of our ancient ancestors and how we became us. They really have a lot more in common than we originally thought. These traits help explain us and how we get along in societies and partially explain our evolutionary success. Primates are our closest relative, therefore we need to safeguard their future. And thank you, that is the end of my presentation. Thank you. Thank you. I hope you like this and didn't have to go ape over it. Does anybody have any questions or any comments? Of course.
Are you familiar with Silver Springs?
Am I familiar with?
Silver Springs, where the monkeys are located on various islands?
No.
You get through the bottom where you view the surroundings. They talk about the monkeys that were put on the island.